Part 1. The Toaster Incident. Expanded Ambassador Treek of the Villart Coalition had studied hundreds of species, observed thousands of rituals, and translated over 9,000 dialects. Yet nothing, not even the war songs of the Kralax, or the mating debates of the Excerpt, prepared him for the sheer chaos of his first week on Earth. His latest assignment had been deemed low-risk. Simple observation of human home life, his orders read. Blend in, learn, report. Treek had taken it seriously. Disguised as a potted fern in the corner of a suburban kitchen, he initiated passive monitoring of his subject, human male number 1743A, self-identified as Jerry. It was day 2 when the event occurred. At 7:06 local time, Jerry stumbled into the kitchen, yawning and scratching his head. He muttered a sequence of incomprehensible noises, somewhere between a groan and a chant, and reached into a plastic bag, withdrawing slices of what Treek's databank labeled bread, wheat-based soft carbohydrate matter, often toasted for morning consumption. Jerry shoved 2 slices into a small metallic appliance that glowed faintly with menace. The toaster, Treek observed intently, data appendages recording every detail. He had been informed that humans engaged in complex culinary rituals in the mornings. This appeared to be one of them. The toaster, which Treek had already flagged as a potential autonomous device, began to hum and click. Suddenly, without warning, it snapped, emitting a spark, a screeching pop, and then launching one of the slices into the air at what Treek estimated to be 35 kilometers per hour. The flaming piece of bread hit the ceiling with a sizzling hiss and stuck there. Treek recoiled behind the potted leaves. Hostile fire from domestic equipment. Was this an attack? A training exercise? Jerry, to Treek's amazement, didn't even flinch. Not again, the human muttered. He unplugged the toaster, opened a cupboard, grabbed a large blue cup with the phrase "World's Okayest Dad" on it, and filled it with tap water. Without ceremony, he poured it over the toaster, which hissed in protest. Treek blinked all 3 of his eyes. No chanting, no rituals, no prayers to mechanical spirits. The human just drowned the appliance. Then Jerry looked up at the scorched mark on the ceiling, shrugged, and walked over to the refrigerator. He opened it, pulled out a box, and said, "Guess I'll eat cereal." A moment later, he was crunching away at a bowl of brightly colored loops with what seemed to be total apathy toward the near explosion that had just occurred. Treek activated his comms silently. "This is Observer Treek, requesting confirmation. Is self-combusting food equipment standard on Earth?" His onboard translator AI responded calmly. "Affirmative. Humans refer to this as a kitchen mishap. Occurs frequently. A serious event." Treek stared in horror at the toaster, still leaking smoke. Injury probability was 78%. The AI hesitated, then added, "Human tolerance for chaos is unusually high. Breakfast behavior patterns are unpredictable." Treek paused. He had witnessed battlefield trauma healers with less composure than this human showed toward his rogue toaster. He submitted his report to the Villark homeworld. Subject: domestic weaponization of civilian tools. During low-level observation, human number 1743A engaged in a pre-dawn ritual involving the deliberate incineration of grain-based foodstuffs via a hostile autonomous heating unit. Said unit exhibited projectile behavior, launching a flaming slice to the ceiling. Subject responded by dousing device in water and consuming a secondary food alternative. No panic, no distress. Conclusion: humans may be immune to fear. Further study required. Later that day, Treek watched a television broadcast where a group of humans laughed hysterically at a similar toaster malfunction. Apparently, this too was a form of entertainment. Treek began to wonder if Earth was more dangerous than anyone suspected, not because of hostile wildlife, not because of war, but because humans simply didn't care when machines turned against them. If a toaster uprising occurred, they'd probably eat popcorn and watch by day. 3. Treek requested a second set of eyes on Earth, not for safety reasons, but to confirm that he hadn't gone insane. Part 2. The Great Chair Duel. Expanded Ambassador Tokener of the Plorvac. Dominion had never been humiliated before. He had fought 12 campaigns across the Andromedon Reach, negotiated truces with black hole cultists, and even survived a skirmish in the vacuum fields of Dark Rel. And yet here he was, sitting on a foldable metal chair, unsure if he'd just been dethroned. To the beat of human pop music. This wasn't how interspecies diplomacy was supposed to go. It had all started when Earth's representative, Captain Lisa Tran of the United Terran Fleet, had proposed what she called a team-building icebreaker. The Plorvac translator parsed this as some form of martial ritual, show of dominance to resolve tension between two rival parties. Tokanor was intrigued. A duel? A challenge? A chance to demonstrate Plorvac's superiority? He accepted immediately. Captain Tran grinned mischievously. Great. We're playing musical chairs. To Plorvac ears, the phrase musical chairs made little sense. Music was sacred among their kind, used only in the birth and death of stars. Chairs were holy objects each, symbolizing rank, heritage, and spiritual posture. Removing someone from a chair was equivalent to stripping them of their identity. Here the humans were, talking casually about ripping each other out of them. To music, Tokanor stiffened. You wish us to ... dethrone each other during a rhythmic sound ritual?
Hey, Lisa.
Just laughed. Pretty much. You'll love it. Treek, the Vilark observer present on site, whispered into his recording module. Humans have just escalated the situation by at least 2 cultural taboos in a single sentence. Within minutes, the room was rearranged. 12 being 6. Human, 6 alien delegates stood in a loose circle around 11 mismatched chairs. The music began. It was a strange, upbeat melody filled with repetitive chants about staying alive. The humans began to walk in a circle, laughing and bouncing in rhythm. Tokanor followed awkwardly, unsure if he was being tested or mocked. Suddenly the music stopped. A flurry of movement, shouts, scrambling. Everyone dove for a chair. Tokanor hesitated. He wasn't sure whether to sit or fight before he could decide. A human teenager named Raquel shoulder-checked him aside and plopped into the last seat. Tokanor blinked. He was standing. Everyone else was seated. The room went silent. Lisa declared cheerfully, and Tokanor is out. He nearly drew his plasma dagger. I have been dishonored, cast down from the sacred stool of legitimacy. Raquel held up her hand. No worries, bro. You can watch and cheer. Treek's notes read. This appears to be a non-lethal elimination process disguised as a spiritual challenge. No one is dying. They are ... smiling. Tokanor backed away slowly. Is this some kind of psychological warfare? A ritual designed to confuse and disarm? He sat near Treek, arms crossed, but as the rounds continued, he noticed something strange. The humans weren't taking it seriously. They were laughing, shoving playfully, even tripping on purpose for amusement. One human slid across the floor to claim a chair and shouted, I regret nothing, as he skidded under a table. By round 4, Tokanor found himself chuckling. By round 6, he was clapping to the rhythm. And by the final round, stood and yelled, Crush him, Commander Lisa. Crush him for the honor of the chair.
And Lisa?
Narrowly beat her science officer to the final seat. The entire room erupted in applause. Tokanor approached her, bowing his head slightly. This ... game ... it is without logic, yet it brings clarity. She handed him a juice box. Welcome to humanity. Later, the Plorvac Dominion submitted a revised diplomatic agreement citing unprecedented cultural understanding. Treek's report to the Vilark Coalition stated, Subject: Intercultural ritual, music-based. Elimination game: humans initiate conflict resolution and bonding through kinetic movement around symbolic status items chairs, punctuated by music of questionable sacredness. Outcome appears to have no political consequence, yet yields high emotional unification. Primary Plorvac delegate underwent full ritual participation and described the event as both shameful and strangely liberating. Conclusion: humans defy conventional diplomacy, use rhythm-based chaos to neutralize hostility. Further study of icebreakers recommended. That night, Tokenar asked for Earth's full cultural music database. He now keeps a playlist called War and Wiggle. And every time he hears the opening beats of Staying Alive, he instinctively searches for a chair. Part 3. The banana emergency expanded. The station was on the verge of catastrophe. K7 Gamma, a mid-tier research outpost orbiting the ice moon of Dalar 9, was known for its calm routine and quiet corridors. It housed a multi-species science crew, boasted the cleanest reactor chamber in 3 sectors, and was proudly incident-free for the past 7 years. That record ended with a banana technician, Maria Sanchez, a low-ranking but cheerful human assigned to reactor maintenance, had been humming her usual morning tune as she strolled into Engineering Bay 2. She held a datapad in one hand, a partially peeled banana in the other, and was midway through a bite when it all went horribly wrong. The banana peel hit the floor. Boot found it a second later. The resulting chain reaction was spectacular. Her foot shot forward. The rest of her body went backward, and she fell with dramatic flare arms flailing. Banana flying, scream echoing as she slammed into the control console for the reactor's coolant regulator. The alien crewmates present. 2 Jarnathi engineers. In one, Tharnan supervisor froze in horror as multiple red lights flared across the board. Warning, coolant overflow. Reactor integrity compromised, the computer chimed. Maria groaned from the floor. Ow, that banana betrayed me. The Jarnathi screeched in 6 tones at once. What did you do? But then something even stranger happened. Because as Maria's head hit the control panel, her forehead activated the manual override. For the emergency shut-off system button, recessed and rarely touched. Intended for precise situations, like coolant floods. Suddenly, all warning lights ceased. The reactor whirred down into safe mode. Silence returned. Everyone just stared. Maria sat up, rubbing her head and looking at the stunned engineers. Did I fix it? The Tharnan, a 3-eyed creature with a translucent skull and a deep respect for protocol, whispered she stopped the overload. With her face, one of the Jarnathi dropped to his knees. It was the fruit. The banana led her into position. Maria blinked. Wait, no, that was an accident, but it was too late. News spread like wildfire. By noon, half the station believed the banana was part of some Terran emergency protocol. By 1400 hours, a shrine had been erected in Engineering Bay. To a banana, duct taped to the wall, beneath a sign that read Protector of the Core. Maria tried to protest. It was an accident. The banana didn't do anything. But her objections were drowned out by reverent humming from the Jarnathi crew. Later that evening, Treek, the ever-watchful Veelark observer stationed on K7 Gamma, sent a particularly concerned report to his homeworld. Subject: potential fruit-based. Human Safety Mechanisms Observation Log 4732B. Human Technician. Maria Sanchez slipped on a discarded Terran food item banana peel and collided with coolant control. System: accidentally triggered emergency shutoff. Reactor stabilized. Alien crew members interpreted incident as deliberate fruit-guided maneuver. Human offered verbal denial. Denial ignored. Conclusion: bananas now treated as semi-sacred safety devices. Aboard K7 Gamma, human reputation continues to blur a line between accident and strategy. Cultural mythogenesis may be accelerating the next day. The Tharnan supervisor ordered a shipment of bananas for engineering emergency preparedness. Maria, meanwhile, could only shake her head and mutter, "This is how religions start, isn't it?" Weeks later, during a galactic safety symposium, Targari security specialist gave a formal presentation titled Fruit-Based Failsafes, a Human Innovation. The audience listened, stunned. He explained how an energy-absorbing organic substrate, i.e., a banana, and a cranial percussion strike Maria's forehead were combined to prevent a full-scale reactor breach. Humans in the audience looked confused. Maria, who had been invited as a guest of honor, simply facepalmed, and that triggered another misunderstanding, because the aliens believed facepalming was part of the sacred ritual. By the end of the conference, its several species had issued official memos recommending banana proximity in high-risk areas and began introducing cranium check drills in reactor chambers. Back on Earth, the news outlets picked up the story. The headline read, "Terran technician saves station with banana aliens now worship fruit." Maria became an unwitting symbol of cosmic safety innovation. Her reward? A lifetime supply of bananas from the Earth Fruit Council. It's a permanent plaque on Station K7, Gamma, that read, "To Maria Sanchez, who slipped, fell, and saved us all." Part 4. The Spaghetti Summit expanded. It had been the bloodiest border conflict in recent galactic memory. The Porav Dominion and the Zelny Compact. Two powerful factions that shared the mineral-rich sector of Hadron 5 had been engaged in an escalating Cold War for decades. Skirmishes flared often, ships had been lost, alliances strained. Both sides stood one wrong word away from total war. The Galactic Council needed a miracle. What they got was a dinner invitation. Captain Greg Walters, the Terran envoy stationed in neutral orbit, had a reputation, not for diplomacy, not for strategy, but for weirdness. Humans in the Council often described him as unflappable or gregariously insane, depending on the hour. When asked how he planned to de-escalate the Hadron standoff, his response was immediate and sincere. "We'll talk it out." Over spaghetti, the Council blinked. The Porav ambassador hissed. The Zelny representative clicked disapproval. Everyone expected Earth to reconsider. Earth did not. 3 days later, aboard the Galactic Union flagship Accordance, a long table was set in the central chamber. Clean white linen, cutlery, multiple pitchers of water, ambient lighting. And in the center, transported carefully from Earth, was a massive pot of spaghetti marinara, steam rising like a sacred offering. Captain Greg beamed as the delegations filed in. "Well, go on, everyone. Take a seat. Plates are warm." Borv. Arrived first cold-blooded reptilian tacticians, infamous for their emotionless stoicism and ritual war masks. They glared at the human food like it might detonate. The Zelny followed a crustacean-like species with strict formalities and a belief that war summits must occur in silence and fasting. The scent of garlic hit their antennae. They froze in. Place Treek, seated discreetly in observation, recorded everything with a blend of fascination and dread. Human strategy. Uncertain. Offensive offering of Earth cuisine may result in duel or digestion. Captain Greg clapped his hands. "Let's break bread well, Pasta." He served them personally. Each diplomat was handed a plate of spaghetti, a fork, a cloth napkin, and a slice of garlic bread. Translator drones buzzed quietly as protocols were explained. Then the humans began to eat. No ceremony. No prayer, just loud, joyful slurping. Greg twisted the noodles expertly with his fork. Another human dipped bread into sauce with reckless abandon. Laughter echoed through the chamber. The Porav stared. One nudged the other. "Is this?" "Negotiation," Zelny General whispered. "They are insulting us. We must prepare our counterspeech." Then one brave Porav took a bite. Eyes widened. Paused. Chewed again. Slowly, his claw reached for more. The Zelny watched in horror till one of their own caved, snapping a noodle in half and delicately testing the texture. More silence. Then something unexpected happened. The Porav, diplomat, slurp Ed loudly. A Zelny general, in response, accidentally flicked sauce onto the Porav's cloak. The room froze. War was seconds away. Then Greg broke into laughter. "Ah, that's the risk of spaghetti diplomacy." The other humans chuckled. One shrugged. Another reached across the table and offered the Porav a napkin, and then the impossible happened. The Porav laughed. It was a strange, gravelly sound, foreign, alien, but undeniably sincere. The Zelny followed. Their chittering turned rhythmic. Someone tapped a fork on their glass in sync. The ice between them shattered, not in a formal document, but in shared absurdity. Captain Greg stood. "Now that we've all got sauce on our shirts, can we agree there's no need to cover Hadron 5 with blood?" The Porav nodded slowly. "Perhaps. There is honor in pasta." The Zelny clicked thoughtfully. "We find the warmth of this food acceptable." Treek submitted a detailed report that evening. Subject: culinary-based conflict, descalation. The human diplomat introduced a chaotic, ritual-free meal to two hostile factions. Food was consumed loudly, etiquette abandoned, sauce transferred. Between parties without violence, emotional bonding occurred through absurd mutual mess. Conclusion: humans utilize comfort and shared imperfection as a unifying force. No combat occurred. Treaty signed. Spaghetti-induced peace declared. The treaty itself was scrawled onto a napkin by both parties, the ink smudged by tomato sauce. It was later transferred to official parchment. But the original remains preserved in the Galactic Council archives. At its base, in bold earth font, it reads, "We agree to peace because humans fed us, and we don't want to ruin desert." Today, the phrase Spaghetti Summit is used throughout the galaxy as shorthand for any unexpectedly effective peace offering. Earth has since hosted 3 more interstellar dinners each, involving pasta, cord utensils, and just enough absurdity to disarm centuries of mistrust. And Captain Greg? He still believes the key to diplomacy is simple. If you can laugh with someone while covered in marinara, you probably won't shoot them tomorrow. Part 5. The karaoke revelation expanded for most of the Galactic Union's history. Military celebrations were solemn affairs. Commemorations involved precise ceremonial chants, honor medallions suspended in zero-grav spheres, and the traditional 10-minute silence in memory of fallen warriors, but not this time. This time, Earth was in charge of the celebration, and Earth brought karaoke. The event was held on the Harmony's Edge, a massive galactic cruiser retrofitted to serve as a diplomatic flagship. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to mark the successful end of the Piran skirmishes in Ugly, conflict that had stretched across 3 systems and nearly brought a dozen factions to the brink of war. Peace had been brokered. Lives had been spared. It was time, the humans insisted, to celebrate with music. Live music. Asked the growling warlord, a towering beast covered in bioarmor. Not exactly, said Commander Daisy Tran of the United Terran Fleet. It's karaoke night. The translator stuttered. OK. Treek, watching from the shadows of a potted hologram tree, instantly activated his recorders. Humans, he knew, were about to do something ridiculous, and he needed every moment captured. Karaoke, to the uninitiated, appears to be a type of public vocal challenge. An individual, often untrained, voluntarily stands in front of others and belts out songs over pre-recorded instrumental tracks, regardless of tone, pitch, or musical talent. The goal, as far as anyone could tell, was not to impress, but to commit, and humans? They committed hard. The first performance was Commander Daisy herself. She chose an old Terran battle anthem titled Danger Zone. The track blared across the hall drums, guitars, thunderous energy, and Daisy, without hesitation, sang with the conviction of a war leader addressing an army. The aliens froze to them. The human lyrics were both incomprehensible and unsettling. Highway to the danger zone. Is this a coded warning? Whispered a Zelny captain. She's declaring a warpath, hissed a Porev strategist. To a highway? Treek frantically took notes. Human vocal rituals include declarations of perilous locomotion routes. Tone suggests celebration of threat. But then something truly bizarre happened. The humans started cheering. Daisy spun, pointed at her. Cruin held the mic out. The room erupted in a chaotic group howl. Gonna take you right into the danger zone. Aliens jumped in shock. A small Targari diplomat dove behind a table, and yet none of the humans seemed angry, in fact. They were smiling, laughing, dancing even. One brave Groll stood slowly and said, Is this battle chant? May I... try? Daisy handed him the mic. The instrumental restarted. The Groll roared into the mic, voice gravelly and off-pitch. Shaking the walls. It was dreadful, glorious, embarrassingly enthusiastic, and humans cheered louder. That was the turning point. The Jarnathi, known for their rigid calm, picked a pop ballad. A Kralax general recited Earth's Bohemian Rhapsody, like it was a war poem. Even the stoic Zern priest attempted, "I will survive," with terrifying sincerity by the night's end. The entire diplomatic chamber had been transformed. No titles, no ranks, just off-key warbling and shared ridiculousness. Trek's report was unusually poetic. Subject: the karaoke revelation humans have weaponized vulnerability as a bonding strategy. They sing without skill, expose emotional rawness, and invite others to do the same. This ritual disarms pride, equalizes status, and produces intense interspecies empathy. Observation: confidence is rewarded more than talent. Fear is mocked. Joy is amplified. Conclusion: Terran vocal rights generate emotional synchronization across cultural barriers. Threat level: uncertain. Unity effect: extreme. The following morning, a new clause was quietly added to the Galactic Peace Accords, in celebration of continued unity. All future treaty renewals shall include a shared musical expression, unofficially. The aliens began calling it the Singing Clause. Commander Daisy, now known as the Voice of Unity, became a minor cultural icon, a bronze statue of her mid-karaoke pose, with mouth open. Arm raised and lyrics engraved at the base now stands in the Galactic Council garden. It reads, "If you can sing together, you probably won't shoot each other tomorrow, even." Today, on stations across the galaxy, karaoke machines can be found tucked in break rooms and diplomatic lounges. Alien officials nervously rehearse ancient Earth songs like Sweet Caroline or Eye of the Tiger, knowing full well that their political careers may depend on how well they can carry a tune or how willing they are to look foolish. Doing so because, as every seasoned diplomat now knows, nothing brings the galaxy together like a terrible singer with a fearless heart.